minutes ago, me buying food, which you would think isn't that interesting, but some people do find it interesting or entertaining at the very least. I was thinking about this because I saw an ad, and actually the ad you saw, or you can see on the thumbnail for this video, is actually a different vehicle. But I don't know if some of you are aware, people are constantly giving away free RVs, free campers, free trailers. Uh, a lot of them are just given away because what happens is people have them and they park them in their yard. But as the cities and stuff start passing new rules, because they don't want people to have trashy neighborhoods or vehicles sitting in their yard or whatever, or at their business, they start fining these people. So they send them a notice and say, you got to move this or we're going to fine you $100 a day or some ridiculous amount. And then all these people panic because they don't have time, okay? Because every day that they don't remove it, the city's imposing money from them. So they'll put up an ad on Facebook or Craigslist. So if you search on it, you just search for, you can just search for RV or camper or trailer. Sometimes you can even use the word, if you want to speed it up, free RV, free camper or trailer, and you'll get them. They've been popping up all over the place recently, which to me is kind of crazy because a lot of people are becoming homeless and losing their homes. So this is actually a viable option. The problem you run into is you're going to be like these other people who had to get rid of it if you don't have a parking spot. And that's where, the clincher is. So what I would advise, if you know that you might be losing a home soon, you're going to lose your house, or you're planning on traveling and you don't need to maintain your house, and you're going to sell it or whatever, I would say don't sell your house. I'd rent it out and hire a property manager or something so you can come back to it if you decide you don't want to be on the road all the time. But let's say you're like me, you don't have much. Save up what little money you can and try to find some land. Of course, it all is going to vary by person, because like in my case, I had to try to get land that's in this area because I don't want to, I'm still kind of somewhat stuck around here for the time being due to family and work and everything else. So that kind of limits what I have to do, like the land that I can get and the price. But if you actually Google like cheap land for sale, land for sale or cheap land for sale, and you look up those websites and stuff, you're going to find a lot of listings. Some of them are as low as like between $500 to $700. You could buy a plot of land for $500 to $700, and we're not talking like a little garden. We're talking like the size of a normal house, with a yard. So you can get some land and actually potentially park something there. But the key to it is you got to research that land to make sure that you're going to be allowed to park something there to camp. Most of these things are sold that cheap because they're not buildable. They're like out, like the land I'm buying is kind of like out in the swamp, but it's also designated as a camp area. So you're allowed to put camping stuff there. You're allowed to set up like I could park my RV out there and leave it out there. Hint, hint. So if I park my RV out there, including one that doesn't run, that I got for free, and I might have to pay to have it towed because I don't have a tow vehicle, but I could buy an RV or a camper for free for a couple $100. Most of them, some people will try to sell them for like $500, but those are in such bad shape, you can just say, hey, look, I'll offer you $100 or $200 and I'll take it. Other times, people just get rid of them for free because it's not even with them trying to advertise $100. It's like when they just put up the word free, people grab it right away. People who have a place to park it. So that's the key, is to try to acquire land where you could have a vehicle towed there, and then you're not going to be homeless. Because I was watching the German dude in Venice Beach. I had gone there a couple years back on my honeymoon and did a video there. And I was showing the homeless situation in Los Angeles. And predicting it was going to get worse, and indeed it got worse. They spilled over all the way to Venice Beach, Muscle Beach and stuff, all the homeless tents and camps and stuff, and all the businesses are closing, because there's homelessness and COVID and everything else going on. But it was terrible. But a lot of those people weren't able to plan ahead, due to whatever circumstances. Actually, a lot of those homeless people seemed to be young people coming from other states because they figured they had opportunities there. Like, there's no opportunities there. Don't go to a city. Don't go into a big city when there's a homeless situation. That's where you're going to go to die, because the cities are already overwhelmed. Like Florida's getting it too. I just noticed the Walmart where I am, they got patrol going on now. They're not the police, but they hired a security firm. They used to not have a security firm at this particular Walmart. A lot of Walmarts now have some kind of security, company that patrols. This one now has it too. And what they're looking for is people camping in their vehicle there, because, it's become a known thing. Everyone's doing it, especially with the homeless situation. So if you're in a position where you have a little bit of money, like let's say, I know this is only applicable to pretty much the United States, because a lot of other countries, people don't give away or throw away a camper or a trailer. They don't even have them. That's like a luxurious home for a lot of people, like in Thailand or whatever. But in the United States, you're kind of lucky, or I'm kind of lucky being here, because people throw this stuff away. They literally throw away stuff that's worth a lot of money, like a house. They're throwing away a house. So that's how rich the United States is, when other countries see this stuff. But the reason they're throwing it away is because if they don't, the city finds them. So look for those deals, but before you even look for those deals, try to get land. Try to get land somewhere, even if it's crappy land, But as long as you can park, my advice is actually try to get land like out in the middle of nowhere, but try to get it so it has road access. So it's either near roads that you can get to, because otherwise, don't get those landlocked lots that are like in the woods, unless you're planning on not having a vehicle, not having a car, and just totally going completely off-grid, building a primitive hut or whatever to live out there. I see a lot of those land that they basically, and some of them are decent land. So if you're like a hiker or something like that, and you kind of fit, and you can go out in the woods and you can work with an axe and build your own log cabin or something like that, that might be a thing to do. But honestly, I think out of 100 people, we'd be lucky to have one person who could do that. I would say it'd be more like maybe 1 in 10,000 or 1 in a million could do it. It's hard, but a lot of people could do this. You could buy land somewhere that, especially like in a place like Florida, they have all these developments that they were going to build and they didn't build, like the compound. But you got to check the city ordinance. See, I think the compound in Palm Bay, which you saw me live in illegally on somebody else's land, I don't think you're allowed to live out there unless you get special permission from the city, because it's still considered part of the city. So the city patrols it, and you could get into trouble. But the police themselves told me homeless people live out there, which is why I started living out there when I was homeless. I didn't live out there fully. I lived mostly in my vehicle, but I set up a little hut and was living out in the woods, because it gave me a home base and a place to hide instead of always trying to stay at like Walmart or something, or Planet Fitness and whatnot. So I had an actual place that I could go and just hang out with the animals, and just relax a little bit. And it felt like a house. It felt like a home. So yeah, try to look for land. Look for cheap land. If you're getting the coronavirus relief, the relief money, that may be enough to buy the land. You're like, I don't have any money. Well, if you're like an average adult here in the United States, you might be getting $1,400, and you already got $600 previously. But if you get $1,400, that's enough to buy a $1,000 plot of land, which could be as much as an acre or more. A lot of those are out in the desert, which I might consider trying to get desert land. It depends on how long I stay in the United States before I travel, and what my wife and I decide to do, how long we're going to stay and what we're going to actually do. I may buy some desert land to see if I can live on it. I don't think I'd want to live out in the desert, but I might set up a base there, so, just to see if I can generate enough water. That would be my big thing, is water and food. But for the most part, when you're talking about doing stuff like this, you're talking about living off-grid, but on the grid or near the grid. So if you can get a plot of land where you can park your vehicle, that's the first thing. You got to make sure that it's allowed. At the very least, you could park your van out there. But if I had land that would allow parking and, that I could camp at, I would get and I didn't have money, I would get a free RV or a trailer. And then I would not treat it as an RV or trailer. I'd treat it as a house, and I'd start fixing it up like a house. It doesn't have to run. Once you park it, You know, you could even have a shipping container sent there for about, they sell them for like $2,000 for a shipping container. But see, to me, $2,000, you could buy an RV that's already a house. And an RV with water, working stove, electricity, and all that other stuff. The only thing you need are batteries, solar panels and whatnot to generate electricity, and you're set. And a water catchment. So that's a cheap way to live for free, pretty much, almost, once you own the land and paying, the property taxes. So look for that if you're in a situation. Because remember, I pretty much don't have anything, but now, I finally got some land, and once I start to situate myself on it, I don't really plan on living out there full time unless I quit my job, because like right now I have income, so I can pay to park. Although it's still becoming an issue with the noise, with the neighbor with the noise, and the landlord keeps trying to shut it off, and there's like an issue, and I don't know. And now I got the neighbor, who has that noise mad at me. So I'm afraid he could end up doing something to my vehicles or something, So those are the issues you have when you have rent, whether it be an apartment or, in my place, an RV parking spot. And, some of you say, just move somewhere else. I'm in Florida, and right now trying to find a spot is really hard, especially if you have to stay in a specific town because you work there. So, I'm contemplating, actually, this is a potential plan if push comes to shove, because now I have an option. I have land. I just got to get my deed and everything else straightened out to make sure that I'm landowner, and, that I get ripped off. But then if there's an issue with the law enforcement, I can show them I'm the, and I'm out there camping. So, but anyhow, what I was considering doing potentially, if I can't resolve the noise issue, is actually taking my RV and moving it to my land, and setting it there. And I'll probably continue to build the cabin or the hut, whatever you want to call it, just for practice. I'm trying to do it as cheap as possible and just get a little bit more experience with building as a single person without much tools, and also without much money to show YouTube, but also for myself, because I want to be able to travel almost anywhere, in the world, and just build a place to live. Because what it would allow is potentially, if I go to Thailand, and because I'm a Thai citizen also, as well as a U.S. citizen, I could buy land in Thailand. You don't buy land there as a foreigner. You can't. You're not even allowed to. You have to rent. But if I buy land in Thailand and get it cheap enough, it's probably going to be remote, and I could possibly build a hut or something out there. So I could go to Thailand and live for free, other than the cost of flying there and food and stuff like that. So I'm trying to learn skills that'll be beneficial. But see, Thailand will be missing a lot of stuff that Americans have here. If you're living in the United States, in most parts, you're very lucky, because, like I said, people throw away houses here. They throw away campers and trailers. They even throw away boats. They throw away, they'll say free, or they charge only a little bit of money because they just want somebody to haul it off. If you don't have a truck or something like that, like a tow truck or a truck to haul things, my advice is try to make friends with people who do have that stuff. And if you don't have stuff like that, save up money, because you can hire somebody to tow it for you. Like now that I have access to certain mechanics and certain tow companies and things like that, if I need something towed, I might pay money, whether it be $100 to $500. If it's $500 to move a house, I might be willing to pay it. $500 to move my free RV or whatever to my land, and then I can live in it. I'll have to fix it up and stuff, obviously, but for $500, having a home and no rent, that's awesome. And then I know how to make electricity. You might not need as much or make as much as you would use if you were living on grid, but I know how to live without electricity. So, somebody was asking if Thailand provides medical and stuff. I think they do for Thai people automatically. I think it's socialized. For Westerners, I think you can get insurance, that will cover. It's affordable in Thailand. It's not like crazy here in the United States. The United States is crazy, dental, medical, everything's so expensive to live here. And yet people throwing away free houses. And then you got homeless people. And then you have buildings that are vacant that they just let sit and rot. They literally let the land, the house that somebody owns, but they don't maintain it, and the roof and all this stuff will collapse. And once the roof collapses, the building's destroyed. Meanwhile, you have homeless people sleeping on the streets. And then they put spikes and stuff in this, you know, under the bridges and whatnot to try to keep people from sleeping there. I'm like, what the heck? You're treating people like they're not even people. These are humans. It's not an animal. And these people were probably at one time productive citizens. Something happened. Like they lost their job, or the price of rent and utilities and housing and stuff has gotten too high. I know a lot of people who are working and they're living in their vehicle. That's ridiculous. I was a mailman and I was living in a vehicle. Mailmen get paid pretty decently. Had to do with the courts and child support, divorce, all sorts of crazy shit, you know? So it's kind of messed up in this country, but you can benefit from it if you look at some of the loopholes, which is you can get a free house if you can get land. The problem is trying to find land that you can park on, but they still exist. You just gotta look. And maybe you have to do it illegally. I don't know. What are they gonna do? Fine you and you got no money? They're gonna put you in jail? Well, then you got free housing. Once you go to jail, try to get the dental work done, because they have to pay for that too. So, you know, basically, look for land that you can park on. They're harder to find in the United States, but it still exists. Even in Florida, there's a bunch of developments that they were going to develop, and then they failed, and they didn't develop it. So all that land is cheap, and some of it you could buy for $1,000. You know, some of it may be more, but you can make payments on it. A lot of that land is going to be in the middle of nowhere. But in Florida, I don't know if it's the same in other states. There's a lot of land that they built roads, but there's no houses there. And it's like wilderness, like the compound. And some of those land, they do allow development, you know, because they were zoned for that. But the company that was going to develop didn't develop or whatever. There's a lot of that type of land in Florida. And you can find them for sale and maybe park your RV out there. And you say, well, I don't have an RV. Have one towed. You know, even if it costs a couple $100 to have it towed there, get a free one. Or buy a cheap one that still runs and drive it out there. But you know, if it's a cheap one, it may not run so well, and it may break down on the side of the road, and you're screwed. So I would recommend having a plan of having it towed, because then you can, you know, pretty much, your chance of getting your home to your land is a lot higher when you know that you have a tow truck that can get it out there. So try to save money for that. The COVID or whatever, the relief package, the stimulus money is enough to buy land. I ran a little article, a little link to it, and some people said you can't do that, and they had all sorts of reasons and excuses that you can't do that. You can do it. If the land is $1,000 and you got $1,400, that's enough to buy the land. You just got to make it your priority, and you got to try to get the land. You're looking for the best possible deal based on, you know, having a place. I think an alternative fallback plan for those of you who have nothing right now, if you didn't see my posting about the garden, I haven't checked it out, but I may take a trip up there one day. There's a place that, I don't know if it's in Virginia or Tennessee or something like that. I think it's in Virginia. I'm not sure where it is, but it's up north of Florida somewhere. There's a place called The Garden, and you can look them up on Facebook. It's called The Garden. And what it is a bunch of people, I guess they got their money together and they bought a bunch of land, and it's kind of open for people to live there, you know, come visit and even live there. And I don't think they charge money. I think you just come in and become part of the community and you help them out and help build things. So if you're kind of like a hippie type person, it might be an ideal situation. Or if you're passing through, it may be worth checking out. You might consider donating money to them. You know, like if I went there to live, which I might try, not permanently, but to live there, you know, camp there for a couple weeks or a couple months, I'd probably give them some money, you know, just to help them out. Because they, as far as I know, they don't ask for anything. Other than if you go there, you try to be a part of the community, you know, try to help them out with their stuff, their cause, and you're into trying to make the world better. You know, not polluting and doing things like that, even though as van dwellers, we probably pollute quite a bit. But you know, the idea is to try to live with nature and make the world better, I guess. But you can go in there and learn more about the garden. So if you're totally losing everything, pack up your vehicle and try to go over there and maybe become part of the community, and you could possibly help them build. If I went to the garden, depending on my schedule and my time and stuff and what my plans are, I could end up staying there and helping to build houses at the garden, you know, like huts and yurts and things like that, so that people who didn't have a van or something they could live in, but only had a car, could go over there and possibly live in them. So I would have to talk to the guy who runs the garden and see what he thinks of that idea. But that would be what I would want to do, is possibly if I go to the garden to hang out there and live out there, I might build a couple yurts or huts and stuff for them, so that people who don't have who don't have a van they could live in, or an RV, could actually live on the land on a yurt or a hut that was built, and maybe they could build, you know, other people could build it too, because then you have facilities. Like, one of the things I tried to do over there is maybe help them set up a solar system, you know, solar power system, so they could collect some electricity. It wouldn't be enough, I don't think, to power the whole community, but might be enough for people to charge their cell phones and their batteries and whatnot, you know, just like a charging station. Or maybe make a bunch of little ones that, you know, spread throughout the community. The garden is kind of big. It's like a lot of land. I don't remember how many acres it is. I think it's as much as 50 acres. I don't know. It's pretty big. But if I went there to help them, that's what I try to do, is potentially set up like little small solar charging stations or something, just to help everybody, you know. I'm not like an expert on it or anything. I know there's a lot of people who know a lot more about this kind of stuff than I do, but I've been able to get it to work on my RV and my van and stuff, and, you know, it may not be perfect or even the correct way to do it, but it seems to be good enough, you know. And so far, cross my fingers, I haven't set anything on fire, you know. I see some of these people, they do these elaborate builds, and then they you know, they put in all the safeguards and stuff, and their vehicle still catches on fire. You see people who don't even do their own build. Like, they buy an RV, you know, they bought the RV, and then the RV catches on fire still while they're parking it. Like, you know, they're charging their, like that one article I just read a while ago about these people had a really nice RV, and they had electric bikes. You know, electric bikes are very expensive, but they were charging the batteries. And somehow the batteries caught on fire and set the whole RV on fire. Destroyed their RV. You know. So, I know a lot of people say, well, you shouldn't do it this way, you shouldn't do it that way. You probably want to research as much as you can, but at a certain point you got to do what you got to do, what you know to do. And hopefully you did it, you know, as safe as possible. But there's really no guarantee on anything, because, like I said, even commercial vehicles, you see RVs catch on fire, you know. Those are store-bought. Those were made by companies, and hopefully they had engineers and stuff designing those. So just do it. But save your money, get some land, that's your priority. Get a free vehicle, free RV. I've been pulling all sorts of free parts to fix my RV up, you know, because I live in an RV junkyard pretty much. So I basically picked up like a new door handle. Maybe if you guys want to see that, are you guys interested in that? Comment and let me know. If you want to see what I've done to the RV and the stuff I got from the junkyard, let me know and I'll show you and what I did, and talk to you a little bit about getting junk stuff. Because it's interesting, but also I'm like, this is stuff that I would have a hard time finding, because I don't even know what to order. I don't even know what it's called. And ordering it, you know, they'll probably overcharge it, like a little magnet or something to hold the door in place. I got it for free, and if I try to order it, it'd probably be $5. Doesn't seem like a lot, but $5 here, $10 there, another $5 here, another $5 there, $2 here, $5 here. You can end up spending thousands, because I've been getting stuff like light bulbs, a door handle. I don't know how much they sell those door handles for, but probably if you were buying it new or even used, I would think new is probably over $100, and then used, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy thinking it's $100, but usually when it's specialized parts, you know, for certain things, they jack the price way up. So living here at this place, I've been fortunate, because I've been pulling stuff and just fixing my RV up. So that'll be another plan, is get the RV fixed as much as possible. Eventually I'll probably park the RV on my land. I'm going to go ahead and sign out. I want to thank you all for joining me. I hope you found this video informative. I will try to read your comments and if you guys are interested, it looks like nobody's interested in seeing the RV development, so I'm not going to bother doing that video. But I want to thank you all for joining me. Until next time, everyone, take care. God bless you all. Please stay safe. Bye-bye now.